I guess like the idea is I guess people have to make the decision now, or forever hold their peace. I guess that's the old expression. It's like technology companies, corporations will, and maybe to some extent, governments may push technology on us, and it's necessarily like, so it's up to the citizens now whether how far that corporations and governments can go with their pushing of technology on us. I know corporations and governments, they're always like, this is the new thing, you must do it. You must comply. And that's how society, I guess in general, like as a whole, civilization as a whole, it's like, you must comply with the AI. You must comply with our new plan. Like, you must take the COVID-19 vaccine and all that. So you must do what we say at all times, because we are your masters of the universe. That's not necessarily true, but I think that's the way these elites and these technologists feel. I think the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, I pretty much know what he would be targeting today. It's pretty obvious. What would he be blowing up sky high today? He would just be like blowing up the Skynet. He'd be blowing up Cyber9 systems and shit. It's pretty obvious. I'm not saying that technology or technological evolution does not have its benefits, but I could definitely see a day, like in the biblical, the mark of the beast, where they tried to implant the mark of the beast inside people, like with using technology. I could definitely see a day where they're like, well, you got to have this chip in your brain, so you'll perform better. You'll be smarter. You'll be connected to the internet and all the other AIs, and you'll be like a cyborg, and it'll be awesome. And then a lot of the people are going to be like, fuck no. Why would you give access to Lucifer, your mind and your spirit and your soul? That's exactly what they want to enslave in humans. As scary as that sounds, that's what they want, right? They want your blood. They want your soul. The devil wants people's souls so he can devour them. So James Comey was arranging the shells. Yeah. Maybe I can arrange the shells into alphabetical, into word patterns. Yeah, I heard that Kamala Harris went to Australia to give a real estate speech. She was paid a few $1,000,000 to speak. This woman is paid to speak. Kamala Harris is paid to actually say word salads and say silly shit. It was so bad. Like, Kamala Harris speaking is so repulsive that I can only really handle like. I only want to watch it like if it's really stupid, if it's really funny. But even then, I'm nauseated. It's just like, what the hell? Tim Waltz and Kamala Harris. It's like, oh god, that was awful. No, yeah, I saw what the meme was today. It said, Trump dodged a bullet defeating Kamala Harris, and Americans dodged a bazooka. That's what it said. I think we dodged a nuclear bomb, or to be honest. No, I wasn't pessimistic about peace talks in the Russian-Ukraine situation, because Vladimir Putin obviously does not want peace. He wants to steal and kill, and he's a psychopath. He's a thug. He's an old KGB 20th century thug. The best thing for the world is if he were dead. That'd probably be the best thing for planet Earth and all the other human beings, or the other 8 billion human beings, is if he was eliminated or deceased. Yeah. I'm pessimistic about the peace talks in Russia and Ukraine because, number one, I don't see any signs of any of that happening. I don't want Trump to fail in his peace efforts, but the USA is going to authorize that the Ukrainians can strike deeper into Russian targets. Yeah. Now, whether that will begin World War III, it's anyone's guess what the future could look like. But I am not optimistic that a man who's been a thug and a killer his entire life is going to have a change of heart, that he's going to change, that he's going to make a peace deal. I don't know if we get Popsitos tomorrow. It's half off day, and all the food prices are really expensive. You know, for restaurants, especially this Tex-Mex chain. So yeah, I remember. I don't know, like being old. You're like being old in the time of, you know, rising debt in the United States, like $37 trillion, Biden inflation. Then you just kind of like remember your youth, and you see like you remember the memories of your youth, like little flashes of scenes, like when you're 17 or 18 or something, and you feel kind of silly because you know that it's not that time anymore, and you're just like, hey mom, or you're like, hey John, you remember, or maybe you talk to some old guy, you know, from like the 1930s or 1940s, and you're like, the elder generation that's like barely alive. And you're like, hey, Phil, you remember, yeah, like, remember 1997 when I was 17? Like, yeah, I used to fill up gas for like 79 cents a gallon. And you're like, yeah. I used to buy some eggs for 70 cents. Stuff like that. Like, remember when like a pack of cigarettes was like $3 or less? Yeah. Hey, do you remember when people could afford shit? Yeah, those were the days. Oh, video games are still $80 a pop though. That's pretty much stayed the same. So Popsitos is kind of like that same way, because I've been going to Popsitos since I was, I don't know, 30 years, or maybe since I was 16 or something. I know I went to Popsitos after my high school graduation. Yeah, that felt like a milestone right there. Like high school graduation, like going out to eat and going like right after the high school graduation to Popsitos and shit. It just felt like such a momentous occasion. So yeah, it was like Chewy's in Austin before Chewy's came to Houston. And I went there when I was 18 in Austin, Texas. The legendary Chewy's. The Chewy's that are the expanded ones, they don't seem to taste as good as the original. Like just a bit of a... I know they try to, but there's something about that original Austin location. Yeah, there's something about that particular restaurant. You know, that's like the tits. And so Popsitos Tex-Mex Cantina, I think it's in... Yeah, it's in Austin. Yeah, because I remember I went with my mom, my grandma, and we had this gorgeous waitress, this brunette chick. And she was like, oh, I'm working like all these shifts so I can get through college. She was like busting her ass, and she was so fucking hot. Like unbelievably, like just so beautiful. There was a white girl, this beautiful brunette. She was just like, wow. You know what I mean? And, who'd she look like? I don't know. She was her own kind of beauty, I guess. I can't really compare. I guess all I could say is like maybe... Who am I going to compare her with? She might be uncomparable, maybe. She's kind of her own thing, right? But like... If I say gorgeous brunette, they're always going to... If I'm to say from Hollywood example that people would know, it would be like Jennifer Connelly. But it was like, I don't know. Not every hot brunette looks like Jennifer Connelly. They all look like their own variations of hotness. So their own unique style of hotness. I guess the only one I could use like as an archetype isn't really Jennifer Connelly or Phoebe Cates. I think it would be like a standard female cat, like a really hot one, like a really standard like beauty is like Uma Thurman, I think. Yeah. So that's the one. That's the pattern I see repeating in society a lot. Is like the Uma Thurman archetype. So the Popsitos, you can see how bad inflation has gotten over the last 30 years, I guess. If you just look at the menu, compare the menu of Papacitos prices with the prices now. And so you'll say like, okay, fajitas for two were like, I was like, did I imagine this? That they were like 1995 back in 1995? Or 1999 back in 1995? I know I didn't imagine it because like photographic memory and all this stuff. I know I'm not just like hallucinating this, like making this shit up. And then slowly over time, the inflation went up on the food. And it went from where they had fajitas for two for $19.99, and then it went to $25, and then it went to $30, then it went to $36, and then it went to $40, and it just kept climbing. And then after the pandemic, it went straight up to fucking like $60 or $70 for the same thing. It's outrageous. So now they need half off day on Wednesdays just to move their product. Yeah. So I don't know if we'll be getting that because money's really tight right now, like a Stevie Ray Vaughan song. Money's tight, ain't nothing for free. Yeah. I got stranded, caught in the crossfire. That's a great one, huh? Money's tight. Yeah, my friend was going to the University of Texas in Austin, and he said, "Oh man, we gotta go see Stevie." And so we went to the statue of Stevie Ray Vaughan. It was like our pilgrimage, I guess. So. Chris Miller was really funny because he hated smoke and he hated drinking. He was like a hardcore Christian, and so he hated anything like party, drugs, anything like fun. He was interested in the girl, in the the sex part, like the female companionship rather part, but he was not into craziness. You know what I mean? So, but he loved music though, so he had to expose himself to this environment where it's often noisy and there's lots of smoking and there's a lot of drinking and there's a lot of drugs, and so I just remember him like squirming at Antone's off of 6th Street in Austin, and like we're seeing a blues band and he's just like staring at people like fucking smoking, like you're gonna give me cancer. He's like giving people the evil eye, like those fucking those drinkers, like drunkards, they're gonna go to hell. Like no, it wasn't like that, but I just love that, like, someone's smoking around me. Oh, man. I'm going to get secondhand. Oh, I feel my tumors growing. Oh, shit. Yeah, I went to that Chewy's in Austin stoned. Off by, like, weed cookies or something. It was kind of an interesting... I often go on there sober. So just being stoned and seeing like the checkered floors and stuff and all the decorations, it was pretty cool, actually. So me and my aunt and the family, we got out of my aunt and uncle's Hummer going to this Chewy's restaurant, and that was like a typical destination if I was living and working in Austin with my aunt and uncle, or if I was visiting, that we'd go to Chewy's. It didn't happen every day, all the time, but it was like it wasn't abnormal for that to happen. And I remember we got out of the parking lot and the ride over there, and then everybody looked, and it was like, what's going on? Keep Austin weird, right? And sure enough, some weird shit was going on. Everybody was staring for a reason. Their attention was captured because it was like two gay guys, and they had like on these like purple thongs and shit. We're just like, what the fuck? Good old Austin for that weird shit, you know? Guys in purple thongs and shit. Fucking California. Or whatever, like Bruce Willis. Motherfucking California. Motherfucking Austin, Texas. Look at this shit. Yeah, at least if you're not liberal, if you're in Austin, Texas, there's like, you see silly shit. You know, you see weird shit. And it's entertaining. At least good old Austin, Texas, in the very least, is going to be entertaining from time to time. So, it'll put a smile on your face for all the wrong reasons, but and the right reasons. There's a dude in a rainbow thong. Gay, but whatever. It's Austin. It's just weirdtopia over there. Oh yeah. Yeah, we did in Houston, Texas. We do have a mini Austin. Probably most metropolitan cities do have like a little liberal enclave in the major metros. Just a little like hiding place for all the weirdos and the freaks and the people with alternative lifestyles and stuff like that. Yeah, it's called Montrose and Richmond and Westheimer. Montrose, yeah. So that's our little Austin. Our little weird place. Where you see the people, you know, drag queens and shit like that. Where the dragsters hang out. And the cross dressers and all the other assorted. The bondage people, the goths, the whatever kind of alternative lifestyle people. Let's just call it that. Yeah, I think Austin used to be like a really hip, kind of cool college town, and then it kind of like people realized, hey, this place is cool, and then eventually the world ruined it because the word got out, and it just became this like crap. It lost its original mission, its original luster, yeah, its original let's call it vibe. At least I would say Houston, Texas retains its vibe. It retains its swampy, depressing, industrial, heavy traffic, concrete, flat, depressing, bog, mire. It keeps it's somehow able to keep a stable identity over time, which I can't say is true of all cities because no one really wants to live here. You know what I mean? Unless you know it's for a good job or something. So and I'm not talking about people for like foreigners from other country and illegal aliens that live in shithole countries that want to come here. But I've come to love the swamp I was born in. Yeah, I really love this, you know, tropical swampy bog. No, my favorite is I used to live here, in Return of the Jedi. And then Han Solo says, "You're going to die here, How convenient." Yeah. That was part of the joy of Star Wars, right? In the original trilogy, 1977 to 1983, is that Luke Skywalker would be all starry-eyed, like, "Yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to be great." And then, like, "I hate to break it to you, kid, but this ain't that great." It was like, because it was the optimist, and then Han Solo was the cynical, and so, or I'm sorry, he was the realist. We'll call it that. So you had the dreamer versus the realist, and that was always a funny. Created a lot of humorous moments in Star Wars. Those two characters together. Yeah, one of my favorite guitar heroes, Justin Hayward, from the Moody Blues. He just did that Rick Beato interview, and I know I've said about Justin Hayward before, but man, that dude is dry. I know he's British, but even for a Brit, man, that guy is dry as fuck. Like, well, our power maintained during the big storm last night. So the storm party we had. Here we go on to summer of another year. And the summer doesn't last forever. And then people will say, "Wow, the summer is coming. Yay!" And then by the end of it, "Oh no, the summer's gone." We just went into it. What happened? It's gone. Time is gone. Well, on the good news department, my 92-year-old ex neighbor and friend for all these years, after his 2 strokes, he is finally connecting words from his brain to his vocal cords, and his speech is a little better. I just thought he was just going to be, history, that he was never going to recover from his strokes. But apparently, it's getting a little... He's almost like the old Phil before his strokes. Almost like the old Philly Papa. Yeah, so that was some great news today that Phil is doing a little better. So don't know how long he's going to survive down there in the Edgebrook Hood, down there at Winkler Telephone Road, South Houston. It's like a pretty gangbanger ass hood down there, a pretty hardcore Hispanic hood, and he's an old white guy, so in the hood area of Pasadena, where there's like gunshots every night and shit. He's in a bad deal. Yeah, he lost a lot of money in the Enron scam, the energy scam. Basically, there was a time of great trust. Yeah, in America, with corporations and maybe even government too. So I would say the 1990s was except for the X-Files. You say, what about the X-Files? That's all about paranoia about the government and stuff. And yeah, but that's a fictional show. I'm talking about the reality of it was in the 1990s, people had high trust in corporations, American corporations. They had high trust in Silicon Valley. They had high trust because those years were prosperous. People even liked Bill Gates back then, believe it or not. They thought he was the bee's knees. And believe it or not. And so this energy company called Enron out of Houston, Texas comes out, and it's going to be the wave of the future and all this shit. So what a lot of investors did, and employees too, they thought it was, this is just making so much money. This is so profitable. I trust Enron, the energy company. And so a lot of people invested, like all their life savings or a lot of their savings into Enron because they thought they're going to, retire millionaires and live this like fantastic retirement life. But, well, as you all know, it was a big fucking scam, Ponzi scheme, and all those people were defrauded of their money. It was their life savings. It was their money. It was their 401ks. And guess what? They were never, ever, ever going to get all their money back. They were just defrauded. And it was like, well, tough shit. You made a bad decision. And, the Enron fell. And then it was just built off lies and fraud and scammery. The great mighty Enron. But, to a retiree who wants to have a great retirement and not have to worry about money so much, they're like, well, hey, let's do something that's going to, have like a secure nest egg. And when there's high trust in corporations and technological corporations and energy corporations, then some people might say, hey, I'm going to invest all my money in this. And because if you're doing okay, someone always still dreams, well, I'm doing fine. My retirement's fine. My healthcare's fine or whatever. But then the nature of the human being is to say, what if I had more? What if I had more? Yeah. I wouldn't really necessarily always call that greed. That's just kind of like a natural for a human to say, well, I've already done this. So, okay, I've got my bachelor's degree. What if I went and got my master's? What if I got my doctorate? And what if I just kept going? What if I wanted more? What if I desired more? Yeah, so I think that was my old neighbors, Phil and Ray, that they were like, yeah, we're living okay. Yeah, we got all our savings from retirement. We got Social Security. We got the Medicaid, the Medicare, the blah, blah, blah. We got the whole kit and caboodle. Everything's covered. Everything's kosher, solid, whatever, what have you. And then they're like, but then, Phil was reading all those like tech magazines and all those business magazines. And he was looking, and he said, Enron, invest, and he's like, oh, this might be the ticket. Instead of just having a condo, what if we could have a mansion? And I think that was that way of thinking can get people into trouble, without the proper research. So, I think trust was lost in American corporations, energy and technological corporations. Trust was lost politically as well over time. So trust by the American people in the systems, in the we'll call them institutions, foundational institutions and corporations and things like that. Too big to fail and so on. Yeah, I think it was the Enron and the terror wars, and then it was the 2008 financial crisis, and eventually it was almost like Faith No More. epic. It was the dramatic dying of the goldfish without any water. Yeah, that was a dramatic music video, really. Showed the goldfish and it's dying because it doesn't have any water and it's flapping around. I bet PETA was not very happy about that, but it was a dramatic ending to a video, that's for sure. The fish is trying to get its respiration in the water. And, it's dying in the air out of its aquatic environment. Yeah, faith no more. The most cynical you could get. Faith no more. I don't know. It seems like it's better to have a band called Faith No More, and then it's harder to it's harder to sell a band called like Atheism or I Don't Believe in Shit. Yeah, it's hard. It's harder for the kids to convince their parents to buy a record that says like atheist, or get their kids to buy a record called Nihilism. We are nihilists. We believe in nothing. The Big Lebowski. That fight outside the bowling alley was really great. You know, honestly, when they fight the German nihilists. The dude and Walter and Donnie. Rest in peace, Donnie. Is that like one of the funniest parts I've ever seen in a movie is when they're on the California coast and they have Donnie's ashes and they're doing like a eulogy and the fucking the wind turns against him and his burial ashes go into the dude's face. I thought that was like one of the funniest movies. I thought that was like one of the funniest like comedy scenes I'd ever seen in a movie. Fucking. Oh, I'm wearing my University of Texas shorts. Speaking of, oh God, I'm wearing a Chewy's Keep Austin Weird shirt on. What the heck? I'm a Houstonian. Got all this Austin stuff on. Oh, here you go. Houston Texans. Okay. Yeah, I'm keeping it. Got all my Texas shit on. Yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't coordinate this wardrobe, obviously. Not intentionally. Shells, yeah. Yeah, there's beach stuff everywhere because, yeah, Mom went to Hobby Lobby a lot. I didn't go into Hobby Lobby that much because I was like, smells like grandma in here. I was like, what the hell? And then I left. Those old brick and mortar stores, they're kind of like, it's really the boomers and the grannies that are keeping that stuff alive. But Joann's went out of business, but they still have Ross, Dress for Less, exclusively female type shops. almost exclusively female shop here. Man, I remember when a dime bag cost a dime. Man, I remember when I had 99 cents a gallon gas, man. Man, I remember when Papacitos for two cost $19.99. Yeah, I always wonder why I paid such high prices at the mall to get t-shirts, because I'm like a t-shirt fiend, and it was like 2004, 2005, and I bought, there was a Beatles rubber sole shirt. I bought it, and those t-shirts were expensive in the mall. They were like $50 each. And like, and then one day I spent $50 on a Gumby shirt. I guess because the tees were like kind of nostalgic, like from the late 1970s, and I always loved those T-shirts that had the collars and with the colored sleeves, and I always thought the T-shirts were like the pinnacle of fashion, and I still think that. Yeah, I don't think it's suits or the GQ like kind of shit, you know, like metrosexual kind of shit. I always thought the pinnacle of fashion was like blue jeans and t-shirts. Like that was the best it was ever gonna be. Because you know, like an old t-shirt's it's basically a work of art. You know, it's an art that can be worn and be seen. It's an art form. It's basically what t-shirts are, or can be. Not always, but that's their potential, is to be art. And so. Yeah, I spilled over the $50 because I really loved having a Gumby shirt, and I really loved having a few Beatles shirts. So even though they tended to be pretty expensive, it was like, well, I got my Beatles rubber sole, and I got my Beatles Abbey Road, and and the Gumby was definitely fucking worth it. Even though people didn't take me seriously when I was wearing my Gumby shirt around. People tend not to take you seriously when you wear Gumby shit, but people didn't even know how much Gumby was like a part of my childhood, so they'll never really understand. But Gumby and Pokey and the Blockheads. Oh no, it's Gumby and his band's called the Clay Boys. There's backing bands called the Clay Boys. Yeah, it didn't really, Gumby really didn't survive the 20th century because it was claymation. That was an old form of animation. It didn't survive the CGI period. And the Cloakies never sold out to Disney or anything. so they could update or CGI Gumby. They weren't really into it, so yeah. So Clokey was like, well, this is my baby. I'm going to own it. I'm not going to sell it to Pixar or Disney or something like that. They were like, it's the Clokey family. We've been doing this, for decades. We're not going to sell our stuff. And I think the Hensons resisted too for a while. I think resisted Disney's buyout offers, and to their credit, and then like in the mid '90s, they came out with a Gumby movie, and it wasn't CGI. It was like claymation still, I think, and it fucking bombed like hard. Mega hard. And then that was pretty much the end of Gumby. At least it wasn't the end of Gumby in terms of like childhood memories for people, or maybe the merchandise wasn't dead, but definitely the Gumby craze was pretty much buried in that disastrous movie in the mid 90s. And so that was the end of Gumby. And but I kept it alive in 2005, 20 years ago at the Willowbrook Mall, and I bought me the Gumby shirt for $50. And I was like, man, clothing is expensive in the mall, but except for the time my stepdad gave me it was my birthday, and he gave me his credit card. And he's like, okay, go get some nice clothes. And I was like, all right, for your birthday. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just go to Old Navy. So I went in there. No, my family, if they give me money, they go, don't buy beer. That's what they say. It's kind of like insulting, but it's kind of funny at the same time, though. Whatever you do, don't buy any beer. Now, I'm giving you this $500, but you have a specific task, though. Don't buy any beer. Well, at least it's not like, now don't buy any fentanyl or something like that. But it was like, you better not go downtown and buy any crack. We already talked about that. You better not be buying any heroin, etc. Oh, wow. Opiates. I like to feel my pain. I'm a sadist. I always did like that. Was it the name of a song or was it the name of an EP? And it was called Lullabies to Paralyze. Lullabies to Paralyze. I like that. Yeah, there's something kind of like Alice in Wonderlandy about that Chewy's. That the original location of the Chewy's in Austin, because it has the checkered floors and everything. It has the like. It's almost like that location is extremely psychedelic. Yeah. It does seem like that location is like a fever dream, architecturally speaking, design wise. It's just cool. Well, something we had been, for years, Phil and I had been on Skype. And of course, they canceled Skype and they brought this inferior thing called Microsoft Teams. And guess what? Microsoft Teams sucks ass. Like the dude, the angry video game nerd who's like, it's ass. It is literally ass. Like it literally just blows donkey ass. And Skype was so much superior. I installed Zoom on my computer, but the Skype, it was do, and it was like had the blue. It was kind of sky. It was Skype. So I kind of I missed that. Maybe I don't miss America Online. I don't miss ICQ, but in early messengers and stuff. But Skype was successful before Zoom, and it was the OG. Yeah, Skype. Skype was wiped off the face of the earth by Microsoft. Introducing Teams. Introducing Lames. Introducing the metaverse, where you can live in a virtual universe where you don't have to experience the pain of living. Hook up to the metaverse, and you can be anything you want to be. Be all you can be. Join the Zuckerverse. That's shit. Mark of the Beast Zuckerberg. Instead of I gotta lead Facebook and meta platforms. I gotta do the next thing and enslave everybody with the metaverse. I wish Zuckerberg would just be like, okay, well, I've already done all this stuff, so hey, what if I just kept to myself and just stayed on my Hawaiian island and just fucking chilled or something. That'd probably be better for society if he just did no more. He just, I don't know, loved his wife and raised his family or something. Had another kid, raised his kids. That would probably be better for the world. But he's always like, oh no, I gotta do my second and third act and shit. It's like, no, you don't. You don't have to continue to do your next acts. You've already done your act. That's it. Yeah, the problem with these guys is that they're like, oh man, I got to do my second and my third and my fourth act. And how do I beat my last act? I got to one up my next. It's like, no, you don't. You could just go to the island and go surf and go have fun, dude. You could do that too. Or raise your family. Retire. Fucking. It's not like $200 billion isn't enough to retire on or something like that. Yeah, you could just go away. Have fun. Like John McAfee, go out to the magical place. Okay, so we're at Wednesday now. The Texas thunderstorms return tomorrow. So I look forward to the thunderstorms. The Texas T-storms. Yeah, some people said, why am I excited about the weather? Well, weather is stuff that happens. It's exciting because it's a happening. It's changing. It's kind of like its own artwork. Electricity and lightning and all of these things. All the nature's forces. They're quite, and from an artistic, a photographer's perspective, it's a great opportunity to do fantastic art. And so there's a lot of, also precipitation can help grow the crops to feed people, feed us, and end droughts in Texas and elsewhere. And yeah. So there's a lot of great things about weather. Maybe there's a lot of not so great things about weather sometimes, but I think the overwhelming good of weather, the precipitation, the growing of the crops, and harvesting of the crops is the best thing that the weather cycles do. Or can do. Weather is, in other words, exciting. So, yeah. Maybe sometimes weather is too exciting. You know, if there's a tornado or a hurricane or something. Yeah, but to me, weather's beautiful. It's fun. It's interesting. And all those things. So, it has so much going. Weather has so much going for it. I just appreciate nature in general, so. Like Ric Flair, the nature boy. Except if I am in the hospital, I'm not going to ask Hulk Hogan to get me a 6-pack of beer. I'm not that much. I mean, sure, alcoholic, yeah, but not to that level. You know, like, dude, I'm in the hospital. I know I'm dying, but yeah, can you get me a 12-pack? I mean, that's, fucking... whatever. What would the doctors and nurses be doing? Like if Ric Flair was in there and then he's got all these machines hooked up to him. He's like 60, 70, or he's like 70 years old or something. And he's fucking, he's in there like chugging a 6-pack. I bet the nurse and doctor would be like, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, sir, your organs, you're not doing well. We got you on the drip. And like, all the machines and stuff, like they're doing like all his scans and shit. It's all fucked up. Yeah, I do what the doctors and nurses say if I'm in a situation. So. Yeah, the Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy. Yeah. I love that one. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I think I think most people were had heard. I would say most music lovers, most people had heard. The most famous classical music pieces had been in movies before Die Hard 1988. So I think that was just divine providence that it was in that film, and that the composers used that as a thematic piece for Die Hard to. I believe it was selected because the terrorists or the bank robbers were from Europe, so that's why the old music was from Europe, and it was like it was invading America, like Europe was invading America, and that was the whole like. Also, really, Ode to Joy, Ludwig von Beethoven. It kind of sounds like a Christmas song. I mean, it really does. Like, if you put it like in the Christmas environment and with all the other Christmas music, it does seem to fit like really, really well. It's got this angelic, ethereal type sound to it and everything. It does have that kind of like hallelujah kind of vibe to it. Yeah, that spiritual transcendence going on. Talk about the spiritual transcendence, and spiritual transcendental element. That's a good word for it. We'll call it the element. Ethereal, transcendental, spiritual element to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, Ode to Joy. So. No, when they show, what? So I guess sometimes single people might meet. Like me, they might complain about being single from time to time. But man, have you been seeing those fucking TikToks lately? Like those when I see a lot of those like TikTok reactions where a woman's complaining about and they're like treating their husband like shit or their boyfriend or something, or they're like, oh my God, did you see what he did? Like, he disrespected me. And like, when I see that, I'm like, oh God, it's great to be single. What am I saying? Yeah. Singularity, to be a singularity is not always bad. It only stings if society tries to make you feel like crap because you're single. You know what I mean? Like if a couple walks by and they're like, or something like, yeah, we're so happy. Like maybe in that particular case, but man, see these like crazy women on TikTok and like OnlyFans and shit like that. You're like, oh, whew. We're not only dodging the Kamala Harris bullet here. You're dodging, being chained like that's different if your girlfriend or wife is like absolutely stunning and wonderful and all that stuff. That's a different story. But With some of these TikTok bitches, it's like, oh my god. You gotta be kidding me. With a little bit of that, yeah. Well, I put the convenience store owner in a pickle, in a conundrum, because he was charging more for the Mickey's beer, and then he ran out of Wheeler's Steel Reservers, and then now he's run out of Mickey's so he's running out of 40s. So he kind of does have a conundrum on his hand. It's that his 40 supply is vacant. I guess he could just sit on his beer stock and he could just like wait till everything goes. I doubt he's gonna do that. So. Oh, so they can't like build robots that could like go to work for me yet, or what? I can't get like multiplicity by a clone. All right, you go make some money, man. I'll be here. Oh, they don't have the androids. You could go make my money for me or whatever. All right, you go hustle out at Burger King. Bring me back the money. And the android's like, I don't get any respect. I get no respect. Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah, my android would be programmed to be like Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect. I get no respect. I guess that was funny in the 1980s, like have a really old and like depressed, kind of overweight looking, Rodney Dangerfield, and then he's like, "Let's go get the babes." That was funny back then. I guess it could be funny now too, but it was especially funny in the 1970s, like 1980s. You get the older man like Don Knotts or Rodney Dangerfield and the comedian guy, and they said, "I'm going to the club, get some babes." That's pretty. Oh, in the past, entertainment was so simple. on Twitter X, they always put a meme on there. Do you like the Eagles? Trying to load me up with a question like that. Ask me a loaded question. A loaded baked potato question. Do I like the Eagles? Living it up at the homeless California. Living it up at the homeless California. Do I like the Eagles? Take it easy. Yeah. Not like I don't buy every record of the Eagles, but I like Linda Ronstadt. Yeah, she was amazing. Yeah, I like the Eagles. I'm not like a mega nut. Yeah, I'm not like a mega fan. I don't own every CD or album or anything, but they're all right. But if they ever ask me, do I like Van Halen? I would tell them I love Van Halen, but only with David Lee Roth. That would have been cool, like a few more records, with David Lee Roth. Yeah. But in the 80s when they were like in their prime and stuff. That would have been. Ooh. Oh, ow. Ooh. Da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. Is there any butt cheek imprints on this stool? Maybe. A few butt cheeks on there? Yeah. A double wide on there. She's the queen of my double wide trailer. Sammy Kershaw? I'm sure you know it. Alright, it's time to get some Z's. God bless. Best of success.